Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of your Frederish podcast. My name is Gary, and today we're gonna talk about the power of will, or AKA willpower, also known as the positivity, the law of attraction. There's many names related to it, but they all come down to the basic thing, the basic idea and concept. You name it, you decide that are that thoughts become things. I think this is one of the main um, the main words, the main set of words, if I can put it this way, that relate to this philosophical area sector. I don't know how to define that properly, but you get the point. So sit down, relax, just as usual. Today won't be any different. Okay, it's Friday, just as usual, and I really want you to relax and to pay attention to the words, so you can improve your English listening skills, and also I hope improve your everything, vocabulary, grasp of the language, comfort while listening to people speaking in 100%. Probably there are people still at the basic level, at the A1 level here, and I'm really proud to know that. And I'll do my best to slow down, to do the necessary explanations and interventions whenever it is necessary, if the conversation gets to be, or using lots of non-usual words. Okay, so you have my promise, but again, I really want you to relax, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first question that comes to my mind when I chose this topic to talk with you today was, where did it come from? I mean, who started it, and where? Not only who, but where. I could add more like why and when. I mean, when, of course, but why and how. But just let's be satisfied with the where and who. All right. Well, I don't think that there's an answer to this question. Okay, because, well, philosophy in general has been saying that we have to be, as positive as possible when it comes to expectation about the future. Things that the way things will turn up in the future. But also we have, and more importantly here, the religions, right? Religion has always preached, and I'm not mentioning any specific, but the main ones, okay, or the main spiritual philosophies, if you know my point here, like Buddhism, for example, and Hindi religions, philosophies, whatever. They all, by one means or another, they get to the point that this says that relax, things will turn up just to the greater good. I like this expression, the greater good, meaning the main purpose, the biggest one, be that God, be that the biggest spirit, the creator of the universe, the architect of the universe, as the freebasers say. Anyways, but things will turn up just fine at the end, although, and here still speaking about most religions in the world, although not exactly the way we want, and also with the fact that we may suffer in this way, in this process. All right, but nevertheless, the positive thinking is still there. Okay, so I would say that if you ask me to try to guess where it started, I would say, and please let me know on the comments section here if you agree, if it makes any sense, or if there's historical evidence or proofs that it started before or after. But I would say that it has just come with Christianity. Okay, so in the last 2,000 years. All right, and also mostly focused on the, well, I should not kill people, because there was this, going a little deeper on this road, there was this thing about not killing other people, with the Jewish. And just quick parenthesis here, big parenthesis, quick disclaimer. I don't mean to judge or be any judgmental over things, okay? Because when I say Jewish people, I mean Jewish people from the Hebrews, all right, from 3,000 years ago, from Moses' days, all right. So of course not. I'm not talking about people, about anyone, living, while these words are being spoken out. All right. Okay. Having done this disclaimer, this important disclaimer, I would say that's my understanding when I read the old books, the Bible, the Jewish Torah, that there was this thing with them back in the days, Moses' days, or close, quote unquote, in terms of era, about not killing people, but people of your entourage. Okay, entourage is like the people around you. Okay, friends, family, neighbor. That's it. But with Christianity, this concept was extended to everyone on earth. All right. When Paul, the apostle, says, not even there's no Jewish or there's no Hebrew or Greek, or Roman. He's just breaking these barriers. And again, this is not the podcast yet to speak about religion, but that's how I can trace back to the origin, to the beginning of this topic of our topic today, the willpower, the positivity, the law of attraction. Although it has nothing directly to do with Christianity, okay, I'm not saying that, okay, but I think that the seeds to it come, the seeds to it were born during those days. If we can trace it back, all right, trace back the way where it all started, all right. But truth of the matter is that after the 18th century, the 19th century to be more specific, the philosophers started, bringing a more positive, that's my impression, of course. There's like Nietzsche and other guys, but in general, the good impression, the good expectations with humanity, were maintained after the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, although we had two big wars in 20th century, but even though people were being more positive in general, okay. And then we get to where one author that I know, okay, well, meaning I've read his works, his books. That really, I could say that is the pioneer in this. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, of course, guys, I'm not putting myself here as an expert. I didn't make intensive research over it. The idea is just, chatting up with you guys here, okay? So please feel free to speak up and disagree with me. But I see the pioneer of the willpower, the law of attraction, more specifically, the father of the kid, as we say, Napoleon Hill, okay? Napoleon Hill was an author, an American author, who lived in from the end of the 19th century to the mid of the 20th century. He died in the 63, I guess, 69. Anyways, before the 70s, okay? And he's written many books about success, okay? How to be successful, how to be a successful person, okay? I know it all is probably, all of it is probably ringing a bell about the modern coaches, motivational coaches as they call themselves, and yeah, they're totally connected to Napoleon Hill. If you just watch videos, YouTube video of a modern, one of these guys, modern coach, motivational coach, you will feel or hear a referral to Napoleon Hill, to Napoleon Hill's work somehow. Okay, his most famous book was Think and Grow Rich, which was the first one I read, by the way. But anyways, okay. Napoleon Hill's work doesn't stop there. Okay, there's much more. Okay, this is not the main point here. I would say that it's worth reading it. Of course, that there are things that you have to disagree. Okay, first of all, because yeah, common sense, and second, because they were written like almost 100 years ago. Okay, so there's a lot of things that science has discovered, and effectively proven, not true or different from the expectations people had 100 years ago, 80 years ago. All right, so it is an interesting author to read, but you don't have, in my opinion, to read it. If you don't read his books with a too much passional, emotional structure, if you know what I mean. Okay, then it's totally worth reading his books. But he totally gets there. He brings up the idea of everything you think, somehow gets projected in the universe, aka around you, aka in your life. All right, so if you think success, you will project success. All right, so this is when I first heard of willpower, law of attraction in the more modern days. I will speak more about it. I hadn't read Napoleon Hill back then, so I didn't make any connection. But years later, after the famous documentary that I will talk about in a few minutes, I emotionally connected. I immediately connected the dots. All right, so totally they were inspired. The authors of this documentary that I will talk about in a minute, they totally get inspired in Hill. All right, in Napoleon Hill. Anyways, so his work verbally brings this concept up. All right. So yeah, that's where it started. Okay. If you want to know more about Napoleon Hill, perhaps I may record something, but I don't know if it's worth it. But I would say it is worth reading. At least Think and Grow Rich. And I would say Outwitting the Devil is an interesting one. But again, if you're a person it's hard to say that, but if you're still finding yourself emotionally speaking, if you don't have an emotional structure, a firm emotional structure, maybe you shouldn't read it, because the tendency to turn it into religion, okay, which is not something bad per se, of course, I'm not saying that, but like if you turn like a modern author into a kind of a guru, that's the word I needed. It's bad in my opinion. I'm sorry if you disagree, but anyways, but it's worth it reading these two books, and you can learn lots of interesting things for your life. Okay, so that's it. Napoleon Hill was the first one who mentioned it in 1933, is when he wrote Think and Grow Rich. Okay, if not 33, close. Okay. Because I know for a fact that this book was released a few years after the Great Depression in the United States. Okay, so that's why I try to be careful. I see lots of people, deteriorating and attacking him and his work simply because they do not agree, which is something that anyone can do, and it's all right. Okay, disagreeing, let's agree to disagree, as they say. But they just forget to analyze it through the eyes of the time. There was the Great Depression. Lots of people lost. I'm not gonna say people lost money. People lost fortunes. People lost their lives. Okay, financially speaking, and of course materially speaking. And then he comes up with not only with the book, because he was a lecturer. He would throw lectures all around. No matter how much you disagree to what he was saying, but he managed to somehow bring hope to people, and think this alone should allow us to, no matter how much we disagree with him, to kind of step back and go like, yeah, I don't agree, but okay, I respect the person, and I understand the cultural environment that was around him back in the days. Okay. All right, so the big documentary I mentioned is, of course, you probably already know that, The Secret. Okay, so in case you never heard this name, the name this doc about this documentary, it is first of before becoming a documentary, I think it was almost immediate, but it is first published as a book. Okay, well, I saw the documentary immediately as if it was released in 2006. It was a big success. And I also read the book a few years later. Okay, I have some very good emotional memories related to it because I read it in French. Okay, I don't know if I told you guys, but I studied French many years ago, and I was about to go to France. So it was very important. Then I met there was a guy in the hotel that I was working, and we kind of became friends. And he was from Canada, an old man, probably already dead today. I don't know. And I just mentioned I was studying French, and next thing I know, he's handling me a book. Of course, not giving it to me, but just lending it so I could read and you know. But bottom line here is the book is interesting. Okay, perhaps as I said, I'm not the best person to say that because there's a lot of emotional elements involved. But anyways, I'll try to be as how can I put it, neutral as possible here. Okay, there are some. I like the idea of positivity. Okay, I like the idea of trying to complain less and trying to do more. Okay, let me rephrase it. I like the idea of positivity, but provided that this will impulse and generate action. Okay, one of the things that I don't agree, okay, with the documentary and the book is that thoughts become things, as they say in the book. Okay, when I said at the beginning of this episode, thoughts become things. This is a Napoleon Hill statement, by the way. Okay, I think he said that. I'm not sure, but 95% sure. But they say that, 100% sure. They say that in the book and, of course, in the documentary. And the thoughts become things. Thing is something a little dangerous. Okay, because well, you have to do things. You have to work things out. You know, you have to go after things. You have to sweat. You know, nothing comes miraculously. I mean, almost nothing comes miraculously to your life. So you really have to go there and do things. You know, in the book and the documentary kind of lead you to understand that things are this way. Okay, there's one part. I'm not gonna say it's a spoiler because if you guys didn't see that by September 2023, sorry, but there's a part where they exemplify it as a man thinking of a car, and then a few weeks later, the car. I mean, not just any car, a sports car, expensive car. Then the car was in his garage. You know, later. They don't say when, but they just lead the spectator to think that, or to believe that this is the way things are. This is the way things go. And I don't like that very much. Okay, this can get someone talented. And honestly, I believe we all are talented somehow. But someone really talented, someone really upfront in terms of finances, in terms of acting, of going there and operating things and being an entrepreneur, you know, in this sense, this can fall into this person's heart as a seed into a good ground. Okay, all right, but on the other hand, this may lead people to procrastination, eternal procrastination. They may go like, and I'm not saying that the documentary in the book precisely states it, but well, they lead you to believe it, which is the same thing, you know. So, and I've seen in my life, I've witnessed in my life many people like just going out and going like, hey, let's be positive, let's think positive, let us mentalize things we want for the future. All right, I like that energy, I like that principle, but I have to tell you guys that I'm a little skeptical about it. Okay, so I believe that thoughts become things if thoughts find a way to generate things. You know, let's say for example, I want to be a, you know, a musician, for example, a successful musician. All right, instead of thinking about myself, only thinking about myself, playing at the stage of the most famous festivals around musical festivals around the world, I would just focus and concentrate and you know, going out there and listening online and listening to good music, finding, you know, good references, of course playing instruments, writing songs, going out and meeting people with similar targets and teaming up with them somehow in order to get closer and closer to this goal. All right, that's it. All right, but if just thinking and staying home and doing nothing, worse than just staying home, because today with the internet you can stay home and do a lot, but it's like staying home and doing nothing towards this target, you know, I really think it's dangerous. All right, needless to say, of course, science hasn't proven anything about it. Okay, that the thoughts, if you ask me, I would say that I believe our thoughts have some kind of interference in the universe. Okay, but of course not to the point of miraculously, as I used this expression before, this term before, bringing things to your life. You know, you have to do more than that. This has to connect and to get adjusted to your actions. Okay, so the day you start acting, things start happening. Simple as that. Okay, so that's it about the secret, both book and documentary. I believe, my opinion about this, you should totally go and watch the documentary and read the books. Just be careful, as I said, not to, you know, be seduced by these apparently easy lifestyle. I don't know. that's my feeling. Let me know yours. Well, to finish it off, I believe that the internet has expanded the boundaries of such philosophies, if we can call them philosophies, such a lifestyle, you know, mindset style. I'm trying to come up with a term here that the best defines it. But this willpower and law of attraction, you know, thing. All right. Today with internet, we see lots of people using it as a philosophy, living their lives by this. Okay, and I just would say the same thing I said before. I think that if it's working for people, if it's getting people into actually doing things, not only talking about things, and of course not only thinking about things, it's cool. They have my support, I would say, you know, if that means anything. But yeah, that's it. That's I would say it's a more positive thing than a negative thing. Okay, and I like it. I like the doors that were closed years ago and the internet open in all senses, in all aspects, and of course in this point wouldn't be any different. Okay, so my personal opinion, again, as I said before, science hasn't proven anything towards like the thoughts become things. Okay, but I totally believe that thoughts lead us to things. Okay, lead us not only to material stuff but also to actions. Okay, some of our actions, this is no secret, that's not the secret, but some of our actions lead us you know, up, and some of them, I would say most of them, maybe lead us down, you know. So if your thoughts are, you know, mostly leading you up in the sense, like getting you to live a more comfortable life little by little, or not so little by little, but getting you up there, just grab yourself into them, you know, don't let them go. All right, no matter what you call it, if you call it law of attraction, if you call this willpower, if you call this Napoleon Hill, by the way, had would call it mastermind. Okay, but it's more specific, it's more than just the law of attraction, but it's like the thing wrapping it up. It's the fact that when we are dreaming a dream of a project or something, it kind of gets materialized in another dimension, you know. Anyways, just out of curiosity. But if you're materializing things no matter where, you know, according to you, to your understanding, and as I said, more importantly, this kind of philosophy, quote unquote, is leading you to a good life. Okay, no matter what it means to you, go for it. Okay, listen to your friends, of course. Don't stop listening to your friends, to your family, to people who love you. They will not all the times, of course, but a considerable amount of your time. Judge if you're on a good way, or at least give you good feedback about it, and just go for it. I like it. I do not believe it blindly, as most people do, but I am not that skeptical. I'm not skeptical at all, to be honest, but I like observing it. I like observing my thoughts. I like understanding where they're leading me. Okay, and when we talk like willpower, when we talk law of attraction, there my personal opinion, okay, there might be something there. Okay, it's totally not 100% true, but it's not 100% a lie. Okay, so it's up to you to find out your balance point out there. Okay, and that's all for today. Thank you so very much for your precious company, and I see you in the next episode. Bye bye.